Hello, everybody. My name is Dylan Menard, and this is.
Lori Houston.
So, we are introducing you to our website today. So welcome. What we would like to do and achieve with this website is create a dialogue and a conversation between Lori and myself, and also introduce and invite you to join us on this learning journey and this dialogue. So basically what we've done is we've separated this website into a series of blog posts. And what we'd like you to do is read what we've offered you, check through the links and different resources that you can utilize as a teacher or an educator or scholar, and see if you can find some ways to give us different feedback or your own experiences that can help with this dialogue. So what we'd like to do to begin with is just do a bit of an introduction of ourselves, and then we'll dive into a little bit more about what this website will have to offer. So I'd like to introduce my good friend and colleague, Lori, to introduce herself to begin with.
Hi, hello, Tansi. I am Lori Houston. I'm a mother, a daughter, a sister, an auntie. I'm Métis from the traditional territory, Treaty 3 territory in Northwestern Ontario. I'm as well Scottish and British descent. My Métis identity stems from my father's side, connected to the Red River Métis people. My great-great-grandmother was born in Tobacco Creek, which was once a Métis settlement in the late 1800s, just outside of Carman, Manitoba, where my dad was born. And in 2018 is when we discovered our family's Métis identity. When I went to ask my grandmother, who's 93 and still with us today, if she knew anything about Métis history within her family tree, she referred to as hearing the term half-breed growing up as a child, but was really hushed, and it was something that was not to be spoken of. And that was completely denied by her mother in the early 1900s into my grandmother's 93. So she was born in 1920s, and it was something that was hushed and not to be spoken of. So when I brought it up to her, she's, well, maybe, but I don't think we are, because, and she had a couple of ideas why maybe we weren't. And so we went on a little journey together, and we started digging into some of the family history. And my grandmother has really got a great memory. So she knew a lot of the people and the place, because she also was born in Carman, Manitoba, which we have 4 generations that were born in that area. So yeah, it was really exciting. And since then, since our early conversations, myself and my grandmother and my sisters have all registered and become citizens with the Ontario Métis Nation, and are rediscovering this piece of our history. And we've gone back into some of those original homelands, and we've traced a lot of ancestors, and I've met a lot of extended family of my father's who actually have known about their Métis ancestry since the 80s or the late 70s. But we're disconnected because of relocating from the original Carman, Manitoba, where, yeah, so it's been a journey, and I've been meeting a lot of new family and coming to know the Métis identity. And I also, on my mother's side, is a British heritage, and my grandmother was World War II war bride and came over to Canada in the 1940s. And my mother was born in Red Lake, Ontario, where I was as well. And it's the Treaty 3 territory. It was formerly a Hudson Bay trading post. In its modern day, it originates from gold mine, and it is also a hub to many First Nation communities, remote and fly-in in the north. So my own coming to know experiences, I discovered my Métis identity by exploring my family's community's histories. This identity shift inspired profound revelations within my own mind, my work, as I have been walking with Indigenous early childhood educators since I became an EC at 20 years old. So a lot of things came into play for me, and perhaps the passion that I carry within supporting and uplifting Indigenous children and families was connected to, my heart teachings and my ancestral bloodlines, and the connection to education through all the work efforts and the work that I have been placed in this journey in Indigenous education. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there, but thank you so much. I'll pass it to Dylan.
For that, Lori. We've had so many conversations in the last couple months, and it was nice to hear you talk about that in a little bit more detail. So I'm still and continuing to learn from you, and so thank you for that. So where my story starts is I am from the Treaty 6 territory, so that is over in Saskatchewan, where I'm from. I grew up on a little farm over there, and where my Métis ancestry comes from is from the Fisher Branch in the Red River region. So that's over in Manitoba. And basically, when I was growing up, I was a little bit more introduced to my Métis culture on my dad's side. So we were engaging a lot in culture camps, and we were going to sweat lodge ceremonies and receiving elder teachings. And I feel quite lucky because of that, because only a generation before me, my parents and my aunties and uncles weren't receiving those teachings at that young age. So it really made me the person I am. In
Mm,
addition to that, growing up on a farm helped me connect to the land and be a lot more naturalistic and understand those values and those ideals that I was being taught in a lot more substantial and practical way, because I was really living that life. Um, and I do have my maternal side of the family that is coming primarily from Europe. So I have Norwegian ancestry and Icelandic ancestry that come from that side, and as well as the mixture of the French ancestry that has had that ethnogenesis that made me Métis. And the way that my family has really engaged with this culture is siding a lot more with the Métis ancestry side of things. So my great grandmother on my maternal side was Lutheran, but we've really shifted from that type of spirituality to the more indigenous and Métis philosophies and spiritualities of life. And it's been a really amazing journey for me and my family to go on and really connect with more people, connect with different communities, and we have a very musical family as well. So engaging with the traditions of the Métis, so with the fiddle and the spoons and the drumming is something that's really prominent, as well as guitar and a few other instruments, and a lot of vocalists in our family as well. Um, so yeah, it's been an amazing journey, just like you had talked about, Lori. So, with that being said, both of us are early childhood educators, and what our goal is with this website is help us to engage with the course readings a little bit more deeper by connecting them to what we know and what we feel is important, which is Indigenous education in the early childhood education sector. So, there's a few different topics that we're going to dive into and create different blog posts and videos for. So a few examples of them are community involvement, social justice, decolonizing, indigenizing, assessment, mental health, and a few other topics. And how Lori and Abahai have had discussions with these in the last couple months is finding the Indigenous connection and how to have that type of ways of knowing that history and those people being acknowledged in these conversations in a Canadian context. Is there
well
anything else
said.
you'd like to add there, Lori?
No, well said. I think it's perfect. Thank you so much. And I'm excited to share our work. And I'm happy to be co-learning alongside you as well. And thank you for sharing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Lori. And we just want to welcome everyone to the website, and we hope that you learn from it. You are inspired by the things and the teachings and the stories that we're about to tell you. And we really do hope that you are able to collaborate in some way in the comment section so we can continue learning from you, the viewer. All right. Thank you, and welcome to our website.